quick message. Quick message. Yeah, God says some of y'all, you got to understand about the transformation process. Yes, God said stop trying to rush the process. I know, because you have to unlearn the indoctrination of impatience. We talk a lot about that because it is something that we all experienced, okay? Because before God awakened us to this evil, the narcissist, the narcissism, right? Before God awakened us to all of that, yes, we uh, we were led to believe that this world moves quickly. We were led to believe that time just flies by. No, it don't. No, it don't. I'm gonna tell y'all that it does not. So while those notifications are going out, let me do our quick check over here to see and get the chat pulled up so that I can answer any question, share some of y'all's insights, and things like that over here. So that's what we do. We keep it moving. We keep it moving. Okay, keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. And so I want to welcome the returning subscribers, and I want to welcome our new subscribers. Thank you for joining us in our growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ at Consulting for Heightened Awareness. Yes, it's great. It's great because it's great to be back. It's great because it's great to be back. Back on track. Back on track. And for those of you who don't know, we are on the muscle rebuilding and strength training journey for the rest of our lives. We have learned that with the narcissist and narcissism and the matrix and the evil targeting our health, especially our muscle mass. Oh yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're learning more about that and unlearning a lot of lies about our health too. And so it's great to be back on track. It's great to be finally seeing results. So this is why I wanted to get on here and tell you what God said. Because if we try to rush the process, like when you're losing weight and getting back in shape, you cannot rush that process. Okay? You cannot rush that process because it is a little at a time. It takes time to build definition. Okay, when you have maybe not lost muscle mass there, but I got complacent. So I own up to that. I got complacent, and so when the Jezebel case study saw an opportunity, because I was getting complacent with working out and staying on it, and so when she put bruises all over this body, it took a while for that to heal. But we were doing strength training and muscle rebuilding all in that, okay? Hello, welcome. I'm glad to see you over here. Hi. Yes. And so it took a while. But you cannot rush that process. I'm going to give y'all that as an example. What I had to do was get out of Florida. I had to get to a place where my heart is, and I had to get to a place where I could be outside more often and get the oxygen that this body needs for bruises to heal. So we did. We made it to Texas. Glory be to God. That's where I wanted to be to start with. When I left North Carolina, my heart, I wanted to go to Texas. But I had to get confirmation in the physical about this Jezebel. I said, there's something about this. I know she's not serious about healing, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But I got to see the snake pupils. So I said, okay. And I do know that she definitely played a part, and somehow heavy metal toxin got inside my body. For those who don't know, I've got a master's degree in forensic toxicology, so I had to study metal toxicity, so I'm very familiar with side effects. Okay, so what are they? When your body is full of the heavier metals, not sodium, aluminum, those are the lighter metals, okay? I'm talking about heavier metals. When you look at the periodic table, you can figure it out for yourself, but the heavier metals will get into your muscles, okay? And it will separate you from your locus of control of your muscles. Okay, that's what they'll do. And excess water, those get heated up, starts to cook away at the muscle mass. And when you lose that muscle mass, salt water starts to gravitate towards where those heavy metals are. It's going to hang out and stretch that skin. But see, if you don't know that's happening, your clothes are still going to fit, You wouldn't even go notice it because, well, my clothes still fit. Yeah, but you don't have muscle mass there anymore. You're carrying around a water balloon. So when I learned that, and I said, okay, because I knew all about metal toxicity. I knew about radio frequency poisoning already. And so that Jezebel case study was not only an idiot for doing what she did, thinking I wasn't going to figure it out. Of course, bruised patterns tell a story, right? The smallest detail tells the biggest story. So yes, I'm having to re-strengthen the muscles in my hands. We've got one of those. So we've been working on it one day at a time. And so we don't rush that process because of the simple fact you can't. The biological body is going to heal. Okay, and we definitely had to change some of the strength training moves we were doing to lower impact ones from time to time, but we still kept it moving. And we're doing our push-ups. Seriously, okay. And it's our lifestyle now. I made a promise to myself that I will never, ever, ever get complacent. I will never, ever, ever take my muscles for granted, because that's what this matrix is after. It doesn't want us to have independence. It doesn't want us to have mobility. And by the way, the first thing to go when you age, if you don't know this, the first thing to go, what they take first from you, is your mobility with all those heavy metal toxins and the chemicals in the air and all that. They take away your mobility. Mobility is like flexibility, your ability to move and to grab things, right, without stressing out the autonomic nervous system, the ANS. Okay, so, so the Jezebel was just, you could say that she was trying to derail me, but as y'all can see, it just didn't work. I might have gone through about a year and a half of hand-eye coordination that got just basically, I guess you could say I lost a little bit of my hand-eye coordination when doing makeup, but we've got that back now. So, and we stopped wearing foundation, because what I learned about the foundation is that there's salt stored. I've still got some salt that's trapped, like around my mouth. And in order for that salt to get out, the skin needs to breathe. If I keep putting foundation on it, that's chemicals, right? I'm preventing my face from being able to breathe. And so we're not doing that anymore. And we've learned a lot about the autonomic nervous system, our ANS, the inner child. And glory be to God, because I bring that awareness to you all now. See, that's what she didn't realize. She was actually helping us. Okay? She didn't realize that she helped us in a lot of ways. Because I'm like, okay. And I've also learned a lot of things that I don't need to buy anymore. I've also learned that my diet was okay, fine and nice. But I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm not gluten intolerant. I was lied to about that. See, y'all, we're all learning to unlearn the lies that these people, the narcissists and the matrix, all those narratives about our health, we have to unlearn so many lies. Because the symptom, the digestive upset that I was experiencing, and all of us, is simply excess salt and radio frequency poisoning. When I say excess salts, I'm talking about all the different ones. All metals are salts. Okay? So, yes, that's calcium, potassium. It's all a form of salt. And salt is all around us, yes. But you have to remember that our body, God designed our bodies to get rid of things naturally. This matrix wants to take our body's natural ability to do things away from us. Well, actually, we snatched that back. As soon as we launched our movement, Combating Radio Frequency for Healthier Living, we took our power back. We took control of our health back. I said, we snatched that back. We snatched it back. Because I said, nah. I said, once I learned that it's the muscle mass that they're after, because they want the body to retain all that salt water, because if you go into a store, that salt water gets zapped, cuts off oxygen going to the brain. Can't think clearly. You might buy on impulse. Yeah. And it got to a point where I actually became aware of when that was happening. I had bruises all in my neck and everything. And so sometimes when I go into the store, it felt like a chokehold because of those bruises. Well, those bruises are gone now. Glory be to God. And so we are healing. The muscles are rebuilding, and I'm strengthening them. Okay, so we're doing some neck strengthening exercises as well. And you cannot rush the process. That's what God says. He says you cannot rush the process. And he said, I had to get up here and tell y'all to stop trying to rush the process. Not all of you are doing that. But those of you who are, the reason you're not seeing results is because you're trying to rush the process. That's it right there. If you're not seeing the results that you are expecting, it's because you're trying to rush the process. That means you're trying to get ahead of God. Don't do that. God said, don't rush the process. Because you got to think about a potter. Okay? Think about a potter. Because we are the clay and God is our potter. But you think about how delicate that is. If you've seen somebody that does make those pots, right? They're into pottery. Okay, and that clay, when it's spinning like that, it's so delicate. It's like you cannot rush that process. Even though that thing is spinning, and you're using your hands to shape it, you have to be very, very, very delicate. And that's how God is potting us. Okay, you all? Yes, yes, he is our potter. And so he's like, don't rush the process. He knows what he's doing. God knows what he's doing, so think of that. Okay? He got his hand on us. Okay? And he's the spirit in us. I know, but you got to remember, the transformation starts from within. Write that down. Transformation starts from within. But when you see, okay, I want you to picture that. How delicate, how slow you got to move the hands around that clay to keep it from collapsing, right? One wrong turn or one move that is just offbeat or too hard and that clay collapsed. You got to start all over again. And God says, you ain't going to start all over again. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. So stop trying to rush the process. And that was like a really great analogy because that's how God is working on us. That's how he's prospering us on the inside. With that transformation taking place on the inside. So so Chris is sharing, he says he's learning that staying in the moment applies to pretty much every moment of our lives. Yes. Not trying to rush ahead. We can't escape the moment. That's exactly right. Thank you. Transformation starts from within. Like, drop that in the comments, even on the replay. Thank you. Transformation starts from within. Because the renewing of the mind, right? Renewing of the mind, that's within, right? God is spirit on the inside. He's prospering us from the inside out. That's why you get the vision and the spiritual first. Then it will manifest into the physical. Okay, so that's another reason why we cannot rush the process. He said, don't rush the process. And don't forget another reason why we cannot rush the process. Because that'd be trying to get ahead of God. And we can't do that. Because we don't know what's out there. God does, but we don't. So we need to let him guide our steps. He is our leader. So yes, and so have I tried working with clay, throwing pots on a wheel? No, I've not tried it myself. I've seen it. We've seen it in movies, and I've seen other people. I've seen commercials. I've seen it being done. So I know what it looks like, and it really is that, and that's why that's why I was reminded of that, because it's such a delicate process that it takes very, very little for it to collapse. So you're shaping and molding it, but you have to be so delicate, so soft with it. Because if you don't, it'll collapse. And so that's what's happening. If we try to get ahead of God, we're trying to rush the process, and we could collapse. And I mean that spiritually, okay? We could collapse. And then also physically, if you are strength training and you're trying to rush that process, then you could collapse. And I don't mean in a bad way. I'm just saying you wear yourself out. You'll wear yourself out. That's what that means. When I say collapse, I'm talking about you're just going to wear yourself out. You're going to get tired too soon. You're going to use up all your energy too soon. Because God told me a while back, he said, pace yourself. He said, you've got to... Right. Okay, yeah, in the movie Ghost with Demi Moore. Yep, potting. Yes, that comes to mind. Thank you. That's a great scene if you're wanting to know what I'm talking about, because you have to be so delicate with that. And so that's what God's doing with us. And when I say collapse, I mean you're right. That means you're wearing yourself out. Okay? And God says, pace yourself, because when you stop and you be still and know that God is God. Okay, be still and know that God is God. When you do that, you will see the results. So again, for those of you who are wondering why you have not seen results, it's because you are trying to rush the process. See, this is where we learn to master self-control, by learning how to be patient with ourselves and with our body. That's when you master self-control. That's when you learn to take it easy. That's when you learn, don't rush the process. And that is when you will start to see results. You know how I teach often, you got to focus on the internal and the external will follow. Well, part of focusing on the internal, what are you putting in your body? What are you putting in there? Are you putting in their muscle food, or are you putting in their junk? Are you putting in their nutrients, or are you putting in their supplements? And too many of them. Are you putting stuff in there that not beneficial? And I'm going to tell y'all something. Use your common sense. I'm bad for you. I want you to know that. Okay? We know. Okay? And especially if we have been to a restaurant and all you can taste is the salt in the food, that's it. From now on, going forward, I've learned my lesson that if I get a dish from a restaurant and that happens, I'm going to tell the waiter or waitress I'm going to take it back. Take it back. I'm not going to eat that. You know, and I'll pay for my beverage, but that's it. And so we learn, because I'm like, I'm not going to do that. And then I'll go to the store, I'll get something, I'll come back here, I'll make my own cooking. That's it right there. And so, okay, we were buffering a little bit. Okay, thank you for letting me know that I'm using the Wi-Fi, so you never know. But yeah, so don't listen to you. Use your common sense, okay? You do the research yourself, and you think muscle food. And so we talked about this on the Patreon channel, because that's what I'm doing. I think about muscle food, spinach, berries, eggs, okay, beans. Your muscles love beans. I will tell you that from experience. And so that, and we learned that we don't let others dictate what we put in our bodies anymore, because we realize that there's a lot of poison out there. And that's all over TikTok too. Yeah, it's not a secret. It's not a secret that the Matrix is out here. I mean, all right, remember, one of the devil's favorite tactics is truth mixed with lies. And so you've got to understand the difference. You got to know when he's doing that. And thank y'all for hitting the thumbs up so fellow warriors can get this message. All right, thank y'all. All right, for the YouTube algorithm. Let's hit that thumbs up. Because when you realize that you're not seeing result because you're trying to rush the process, you got to learn how to slow down. You got to learn how to slow down. When God says slow down, you got to learn. Because that transformation is not going to happen overnight. That caterpillar does not become a butterfly overnight. And so we becoming the best version that God intended for us to become is not going to happen overnight. It is a process. It is a process. And so, well, there you go, Chris. God is our potter. He said that a gentle touch with the clay. Well, that's a great way to describe how God is doing that. How God is shaping and molding us with a gentle hand. God is a gentle God. Okay, did y'all know that? God is a gentle God. You might not think so based on hearing the wrath of God. And we've talked about this on the Patreon channel too, that the wrath of God is not violent. The wrath of God is God speaking with conviction. The wrath of God is calling them out as the hypocrites that they are. But it's not violent. So you have to have the Holy Spirit to interpret the Word of God correctly. That's all there is to it with that. And so I need to get up here and give you that. You're seeing results again. Let's just stop trying to rush the process. Transformation takes time. Autonomic nervous system, ANS healing takes time. And so here's what I'm going to do for you all on the positive side. I'm going to leave you with this. Okay? Because you've got to focus on the positive, not the negative. Don't focus on the lack, because then you'll get more of that. Focus on what you do have, and you will see the abundance. So rushing the process comes from a scarcity mindset. When you develop the abundant mindset, you learn to slow down and develop that patience. Then you'll be able to see the results. It takes time. But master the art of self-control. Getting that patience, and then patience with yourself and your body. Once you do that, then you'll see the results. Because you're no longer trying to rush the process. That's that rush of the matrix out there. We have to lose that. Got to put that. That's old. That's the old thing that got to go away. 2 Corinthians 5:17. That's the old thing. Old things are passed away. All things will become new. So that transformation, we are becoming a new creature. That's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. So we got to learn to go with the God flow. I remember Chris Miller coined that. And so it's now part of this ministry. Go with the God flow. It's that simple. When you let go and let God, let him guide your steps, you will see he is in full control. Not us. He is. And with him, all things are possible. Because of the strength through Christ that we have. And so, no trying twos to achieve. That's right. No trying twos to achieve. Exactly. You don't try. You let go and let God, and you do. You do. I mean, I know we say the word try this, try that, because you can't be afraid to experiment when you're learning new things. You know, new skill sets and stuff. You've got to put it into action. Because, remember, action pulling down of the stronghold, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but for the mighty, pulling down the strongholds, breaking trauma bonds. We put what we learn into action by not trying to rush the process. Because when you try to rush the process, not only are you not going to see the result, you can miss them. You might miss the smallest detail that tells the biggest story. And that would be your result. Let me give you an example to help you put it in perspective. Okay? That as I am toning and shaping, I don't look in mirrors. I have a mirror for my makeup, but that's it. I'm not standing in front of a mirror checking myself out every 5 minutes. So when I got in the shower in the morning, I happened to look over and I saw the results. I saw some definition taking place again. I went, okay, I'll take it. If that's all I get to see for the day, I'm happy. I actually see the results. I was like, oh, I can feel the results on the inside, because I know when I pick things up. Like at one time, I have a shower bag. I got my shampoo and my conditioner in there. And when I first started carrying it, it felt a little heavier than it does now. 2 weeks later, okay, or thereabouts, a couple of weeks later, as we continue to strength train and do our push-up, it felt a little heavier to carry a couple weeks ago than it did this morning. This morning was like nothing. So I could feel the results on the inside. But then when I got in the shower, I could actually see it. I thought, oh. So the external now catching up with the internal. Glory be to God. So I said, that's what I'm talking about. I get excited. I'm like, okay, because I didn't expect that. But it was there. And God told it to me. And I said, okay. I said, okay, we got this. We got this. And so that's a motivator. So there will be another reason. If you're not feeling very motivated, it's because you're trying to rush the process and you might have missed that small result. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome. You might have missed that small result. Or you're just not going, right, because you're not going to see the result because you're trying to rush the process. God says, slow down. And so that's what it's like. So 2 weeks ago, that bag was felt a little heavier than it did today because we are strength training. And so, God switches things up too. So that's another reason, stop rushing the process because you'll miss it when God switches something up. That's how God works. And so I know some of y'all are going to need it because we're about to wrap it up. And, well, there you go. Trying to rush the process. Well, too many distractions. Yeah. God, don't let the devil and the narcissist distract you. Okay? Because you have to stay focused on what God needs you to be focused on. And not rush the process. Just one day at a time. I saw a meme over there. I don't know if it was on Facebook. It doesn't matter. It was on one of the social media, and I saw a meme. And somebody trying to be sarcastic. They said they said they don't know why people say take it one day at a time. I'm like, hang on a second. I said that was sarcasm. You know what I'm saying? But we say that because it is true, and we all need to be reminded sometimes of these things. We all need to be reminded. That's why God brings things back to our remembrance. Especially when we ask him something. We're like, okay, what this, what that? And he'll bring things to our remembrance to answer that question. So if you're trying to rush the process, you're going to miss the answer. You can miss that. So we want to be paying attention. We want to get ready and stay ready for all of God's, not just blessing, but answers. Everything that God needs to reveal to us for her. Thank y'all again for hitting the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So fellow warriors can get these messages. All right. And we've got Proverbs 19:2. Don't rush into something or you might do it wrong. That's it right there. Another reason for not rushing the process. Thank you, Robert, for that. Because, yeah. And then, of course, Isaiah 60:22. I know I'm seeing that right now. Isaiah 60:22 is in action for yours truly. And for some of y'all too. Because we learned to stop rushing the process. Okay? Yeah, we learned to stop rushing the process. And, well, because everything is at God's appointed time, just like I put a thing out not long ago across all social media with a similar message like that. Okay? So, Proverbs 19:2. Right, resting in the Lord. Thank you, Robert, for that as well. So the lesson from Proverbs 19 verse 2 would be don't rush into something. Or you might get it wrong. Okay, so also, well, what it says in here, I'm going to read the exact verse here. It says in Proverbs chapter 19 verse 2, it says, also, that the soul be without knowledge, it is not good. And he that hasteth with his feet sinneth. So, yeah, that hasteth with his feet sinneth. So that's the correct interpretation of that, is that don't rush into something or you get it wrong. Okay? But you got to have that knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, then it is not good. And so, there you go. And I appreciate all y'all, for sharing some of God's word there for everybody, for including me. That's what it's all about. Iron sharpening iron. And so there you go. All right, everybody, I'm looking at the clock. And that wraps up today's message for you all. Okay, as far as don't try, stop trying to rush the process. And, let go and let God. And patient in. And of course, in Psalm 37:7, rest in the Lord. Let him guide your steps. When you rest in the Lord, that you will see that Things don't move as fast out here as they want you to think they do. Okay? And so we got to learn to go with the God flow. Remember that. Let's put that in the comments below, even on the replay. Go with the God flow. All right, and I look forward to it. Go with the God flow, because that's all we can do. And don't be rushing the process. Don't get ahead of God, because we'll mess it up if we do that. It's that simple. And so, to see results, let's go with the God flow. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Listen, check out the links in the video description below too to learn more about yours truly and this ministry. You can find the podcast link. You find the social media, the social media that we're on social platforms. That takes you to the My Social page of the website. Check it out, because we've got more coming. It's like we're just getting started again. Now, sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your continued support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you.